Hello, welcome to the Global Psychic and Healer TV. Today we're going to receive a clairvoyant that is also a master in astrology, a tarot teacher. He has many chords in his practice. So I'm very happy to welcome Anthony Teresi in the Italian way. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you. I'm very curious about many things about you. First, I would like to know how everything did start in your young age, where you had your first perception.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I've watched a couple of the other interviews, and everyone seems to be able to point to a time in their life when things began. It's just always been this way for me, ever since I can remember. Even as a small child, I would have dreams that would come true. The phone would ring and I would know who it was. And fortunately for me, I was raised, I'm fourth generation psychic. So I was raised in a home where it was acknowledged and nurtured and brought along. And when I would do things, my mother and father would laugh, they'd say, oh, point to me and say, so it was fortunate in that I was not meant to feel crazy or nuts or like so many people do, kind of thing. So I was very fortunate in that regard. So I can't remember. I do remember having experiences in my adolescence where I began seeing myself in the future and who I would be and what I would become. And so I had a lot of interest like that. But as time went on, I became interested in more of the studies of these things because I wanted to understand them. And I embarked upon a variety of studies. I began practicing yoga, metaphysics, astrology, and many elements were involved. And so for the longest time, I was more of a student trying to understand, into my teen years, trying to understand what it was that was going on. And then later, as I got older, I decided to go in an area of music, and I became involved in sound healing and vibrational techniques and things along that line. And it became really my passion, and it fit right in with the kind of energy expressions that I was involved in, because I was able to actually see how the vibrations affected people and how parts of the body were affected. And it's my contention that actually, to be honest with you, that the physicians of the future will be musicians or sound healers from that standpoint, because the chemical way to address these issues is not correct. But in either case, as time went on, everyone inspired me I should take this up as a career. And I began doing readings for free just to see, and people would go, oh my God, and so I became confident. And at one particular point, I tried the stereotypical psychic hotline. I wanted to see if I could do that, right? And I lasted for about a few months, and I hated that. It was terrible. Not so much because of the people, but because of what it was. So I went to work in a little bookstore that had a lot of foot traffic. And I worked there for a number of years, and I did a lot of readings. And that's really what really helped me out a lot. I worked with many people coming through the door, all walks of life, all ages, all everything. And I found that reading for perfect strangers was the best way. And I stopped reading for friends and family at that particular point, because I found that it was too much pressure to read for the people that you love, because you don't have any objectivity when you do that. So I did that for a number of years, and finally felt that I had accumulated the necessary experience. And in that same period of time, I read everything I could and learned everything I could. I began teaching astrology, began teaching predictive methods, and did a lot of television interviews and things like that, and became very much involved in that. And then about 11 years ago, I moved out of Los Angeles to the northern city, not northern, but up the coast from Los Angeles. And I've been pretty much focusing on one-on-one experiences with my clients, and really focusing on not so much the public eye, but more in-depth analysis of individuals and helping them with their life problems. That's kind of a capsule analysis of how things have gone.
So I'm curious, it's like you mentioned a bit earlier that you see sounds healing, or where the sound affects the body. And I would like to know if you can tell us a bit more about this kind of perception that you're having.
Of course. Everything is vibration, as you know. I looked up your website, and I see that you're involved in very much the same thing. Beautiful, beautiful. Everything is vibration. And when you realize that certain sounds literally vibrate certain parts of the body, and it's sort of a hit and miss technique to begin with because everyone is different. But just the way beautiful music brings tears to our eyes sometimes, that's affecting our heart. And often you can see, I could see how that would work. I would see the notes and the sounds of the vibrations washing over an individual, and their whole aura light up. And especially when love would be present, you would see obviously all the colors of love: pink, rose, red, things like that. And for the longest time, again, as I said before, I didn't really make too much of this because I just thought everybody was that way. And until I found out that people would say to me, I would say, "Did you see that lady? You know, basically she was really affected." And then people would look at me and go, "Huh?" And then I realized, and that was early on. Then I realized that perhaps I had something that most people didn't. I've come to realize that everybody has it, but I just became so comfortable with it that it just emerged as a natural gift.
When you say you were the fourth generation, and you mentioned that were your mother and your dad involved in this kind of practice?
Interesting. It was my maternal side that I actually have the clairvoyant and the visual ability that came from. But my father was very much ahead of his time. He was very much a UFO enthusiast, and he taught me many things about life on other planets. And so again, I was very, very fortunate to have this as a background. The religious constriction was not something that really affected me. Although I was taught religion at a young age, I left it soon because they had very little answers for me. Meaning no offense to anyone.
No, I'm sure about that.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, so you have different practice. You say you do astrology. I've seen in your website you're doing also tarot, and you do healing. And I would like to know if there's how it looks like a typical session with you.
Well, it depends, because time is always an issue. If someone comes in and they only want to spend 15 minutes, well, we'll probably use cards, or maybe I'll just do like an aura reading and see what's going on. And we can't really do that much in 15 minutes. But if someone comes in and wants to spend an hour, then I'll usually do a chart and be able to advise them. Astrology is a wonderful tool for really being able to see where you are in your life, what cycle of life you are, where you've progressed at this particular point in your life. But it won't tell you what you had for breakfast this morning. So tarot is wonderful as well. It's much more information rich, but again, it's much more suited for the moment, and it gives us an idea about how my clients would relate to other people. The tarot is wonderful for determining relationship issues, financial issues, more along those lines if we don't have accurate information for birth time and things like that. So I try to utilize whatever skill my clients are needing, what they're coming in for. If a person is coming in, woman is coming in, let's say she's going through a divorce and she wants to know why her husband has left her. Happens a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. So
Yes.
I'll use the tarot, but if she really wants to know what's going on, then we'll set up a session. I will do both of their charts. We will compare. We will see what the chemistry is. We'll be able to see what events have transpired along the way that have led to this. And again, it just depends how much time and how much information a person wants. There's a ton there, as I'm sure you know. I mean, we could go on hours and hours and hours, but most people can't really afford that. And I try to do my best to give as much as I can in the time frame, and almost always run over a bit. But sometimes I don't like stopping in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, sure. Because the timer goes off,
Yeah, I see what you mean. I wonder, with all the study, what is where you situate yourself between like divination and I guess it's like in astrology there's so much influence, and the fact that maybe we have a part of choice. So I would like to know where you situate yourself between like free wills and everything is defined.
Oh, I think everything is free will. I think that it's cause and effect. I sincerely believe, as crazy as it may seem, we all are exactly where we are because of the choices that we've made. If that were not the case, if life were predestined, then my job would be very easy. I would simply go to my cabinet, I would get the big book of life down, and I would turn to the page of your life, and I would say, Karen, this is what's going to happen to you today. And you would say, my name's not Karen, my name's Kareen. Okay, Kareen, this is what's going to happen to you today. And it's not that way. Everything is a matter of choice. I'm a great proponent of the law of attraction, of quantum physics. All of these various fields are converging on what metaphysicians and mystics have known for thousands of years, that life is an illusion, and how we project our energy is what creates that illusion. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. Yeah, that's pretty clear to me. I wonder what make a good reading or a good session for you?
Well, trust. I mean, if a person comes in and says, show me something psychic. Okay. On the other hand, most of the people that come to see me because I have a good reputation, and they know that I'm not going to charge them $5,000 to burn some candles for them, like some of the frauds out there do. So a person comes in, they are there for the reasons that they really are there. They trust that I am who I am, and we get a lot done that way. But if a person who is skeptical comes in or calls, then it becomes much more difficult because you have to fight through that barrier. I can't tell you how many calls I get and people say, tell me something psychic and I'll read with you, and then it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I guess trust might be a good part in the reading.
Yeah.
Practice.
And also, I find that if someone takes the time to look at my site, they'll see my testimonials, they'll see the people that I've worked with and what they say about our sessions, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. And for you, what is the most enjoyable part of the work?
Well, to be quite frank with you, many of my clients come in, two actually, confirming what a person already knows, but they're yet confused because they don't really know what if they know what they know, and then I'll say, don't say anything, and then I'll do the reading, and they'll say, okay, that's what I thought. That's always kind of wonderful. But to be honest with you, many people come in who don't really want a reading. They just want to sit and talk about what is psychic phenomena, what constitutes a psychic experience. I had this happen to me in my dream, then it came true. What is that? How do I know that it's psychic? These kinds of conversations are wonderful. I love them.
Yeah, I've noticed that you also do work around dreams. Is it interpretation that you're doing?
Yes, interpretation always. I use a decidedly psychic approach and psychological approach to dreams. Dreams rarely mean what they portray themselves to mean. There's always some underlying reason for, you know, I fell off a bridge and la la la. Okay, and there's always some reason for you know, what's going on with that. Dreams are also wonderful ways for us to connect with those that have moved on and passed on and made their transition. When someone comes back to us in a dream who has passed away, many people don't realize, but that person must love us very, very much, because it's very difficult to come back over that barrier. And dream state is one of the ways that we find that happens. So dreams are beautiful. They really are a way for us to connect with what otherwise our logical mind will not accept.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I wonder, as you mentioned, the death, and I like you had your belief system about, like, oh, it's challenging to come, and so how you see the ghosts? Are you connecting with people who are a bit like stuck on the earth level, and with another realm?
I used to do that work early on, because I connected as a child. For example, I would connect with my great-grandmother who had passed on before I was even born. But I lost interest in that, quite frankly, because to be honest with you, most spirits that have passed over, they look back here and they go, you know, just deal with it. You know, it's like, I'm good, I'm fine. You know, it's nothing but all love and all right here, and everything is wonderful. So I try to focus on the living, the human condition, how I can help a person get over sorrow, get over their blocks, have clarity in terms of their life that they can take out of the reading and really implement in their lives and really move their lives forward. I can't tell you how many times people have called me or come back and said, you know, you don't probably remember me, but I talked to you 3 years ago, and what you told me really helped me. I just wanted you to know that. So that is wonderful. That's what I really focus on.
Yeah. When you mention, like, you're more interested in human experience, that makes sense to me. I think it's like we are on the human level. I wonder if you have noticed some common challenge at the moment in the human beings.
Yeah, quite interesting question. The challenge at this particular point seems to be how individuals are relating to the higher level of energy that is existing on the planet now. Everyone's life is busy, fast, intense, full of stress, and it becomes faster and faster and faster. And that's because the energy is changing, and human beings, as humanity, or I hate to use that word because it has man in it, and I like to find a word that incorporates both genders, but we'll use that for the moment, okay? How humanity is evolving, and we're in a tremendous stretch at this particular point. And I think you can see it with all the conflict in the world and all the way the media has united the entire planet. I mean, it's almost as if we're wearing our nervous system on the outside of the planet now. Something happens in Africa, we know it instantly. Something happens in Egypt, we know it instantly. In the Middle East, same thing. So these are the kinds of things and technology that people are dealing with that are accelerating life. And you and I are living hundreds of lifetimes worth of experience compared to our great-grandparents who lived on a farm and maybe had 3 things happen to them during a week.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean, you know, this kind of acceleration of
correct.
We have less time, but we do much more.
Exactly, yeah. And because of the communication also, and also science, and I see many trains of thought, scientific, metaphysical, mystical, spiritual, all converging, and we're all in the midst of that. We're not quite there yet, and I suppose the age of Aquarius could be, you know, something that you could point to that we're heading to, but I see all of that converging into one simple, elegant, fantastic truth that defines everything. In science, they call it the unified theory experience. In mysticism, we call it the center or God consciousness. Same thing.
Okay. So, and do you have any advice, because you talk about, you notice the challenge on people with this new energy, and I wonder if like maybe a general advice for people to deal with those new challenge?
With the what challenge?
With the challenge of connecting like this movement, this new energy that is coming, that make people getting more and more speed.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have like tips around that.
Well, I personally have been studying yoga my entire life. It's been an I mean, I can't imagine living life without that. Finding ways to meditate, to let go, to relax, and to find one's center, even for a few minutes a day, is marvelous. Without that, we could easily get swept up into the pace of life, the events occurring. It seems like wherever you look, there's a war and people are dying, and you know they never seem to report the beautiful, wonderful things that are happening on the planet, right? And I think becoming involved in aesthetics, really being able to see beauty, being able to look. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. Being able to look at a flower, a sunset, and be moved by that. These are things that take us away from the helter-skelter of what's happening in the world and remind us of who we are as human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Just to come back, talking about your teaching, you mentioned you're teaching predictive method, and I would like to know which kind of predictive method are you teaching?
Well, several. I teach astrology. I teach a beginning class, an intermediate class, and an advanced class. And I find great joy in that because it's a very intricate way of teaching. And I love bringing people along to where they can finally understand how powerful a tool it is. So that's wonderful. I also do tarot classes. And I tend to stay away from beginning tarot classes because it's boring, to be quite frank with you.
Fine.
I'm much more interested in showing the advanced, abstract elements of tarot, because tarot is very much like consulting an oracle. Literally, back in the Greek era, there used to be the Oracle of Delphi, and so it's very much like that. And if you approach it like that, it's wonderful. It's like you don't look at the cards, you look into the cards, and the cards bring you. Yeah, right. And I teach that method from that standpoint. I also teach meditation in terms of being able to clear your mind and being able to accept a focus point that you're looking at. For example, if someone wants to know if they're going to have children, being able to clear your mind, focus, and see if you can find that energy coming to you, and whatever the question is from that standpoint. Or if you don't even have a question, being able to clear your mind and being able to accept that vision that we all have, that ability, into your mind, and then be able to focus on what that means, and then share that in the class, and then interpret that from that standpoint. So one more thing I teach also is, and I got this from actually studying yoga and vibrational elements as well. I teach how to balance your own energy through the chakras, and that's a more advanced class, because you have to know what a chakra is to be able to do that. But many people involved in energy healing and Reiki and things like that, we get together and I teach those kinds of classes. So I love teaching. Teaching is wonderful. It brings another element to being able to feel that you're relevant in the world, as far as like being able to move this energy forward.
Very interesting. I've got a question as a novice in astrology. I wonder, I can feel the planet influence, and I'm a bit aware, I've got a small few knowledge in astrology. And I wonder, what is the part for you of the planet influence on the free will? Is it like some period? How do you see that?
I love your questions.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Astrology is an indication of what a person has come to deal with in this specific lifetime. It does have options, if you will, that show us where a person came from in their past lives. But the chart, if we have an accurate information, is a representation of what the patterns are that you came to work with in this lifetime. If you came to be a teacher, if you came to whatever your path was, okay? So it tells us what you came here with, what your tools are, what your challenges are, and where you are in accomplishing that. But it's always a free will choice in that regard. You can, if depending on your level of advancement or evolution, if you're aware of your path, then you don't need a reading. If you're not, and then someone like me is able to talk to you and explain that to you, then you can use your free will, I can't say that enough, okay? Free will, to then move your life in that direction. If you have the potential to be a doctor and you're working as a grocery clerk, well, something's wrong here, isn't it? And you're unhappy. And if you're young enough, you can go back to school and you could shift your life in the direction that you would put you in a position to be happy and activate your potential. That's what astrology does. Astrology tells us where you're coming from, what you came here to do, and the best area of life that you can achieve those goals. But it's up to you to go do the work. Not you personally.
Fantastic. That clarifies a lot, you know, because it was still, I was not able to put that in shape with my belief system and what I could feel. So thank you very much. Great explanation.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure.
I wonder, we have a question from someone. I would like to know if you are happy to take it.
If what?
If you are happy to take a question.
Sure, of course.
So I've got Francois who said, I am looking to have more clairvoyance perception. Do you have an advice for me?
Yes. Sit back, quiet your mind, and realize that you will never, ever achieve any clairvoyant experiences by thinking. Clear your mind and tap into consciousness. That's not an easy thing to do, but realize that if you can visualize, then you can be a clairvoyant. It's hard to explain because to answer that question for Francois, I would have to use words, and the action of clairvoyance is not a verbal action. So trying to use words would be like trying to paint the Mona Lisa with a brick. It's like, how do you do that, you know, kind of thing. So, but I do my best to explain that it is not a mental thing. It's not a matter of your IQ. It is not a matter of how smart you are. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. It has to do with how you are able to tune into the greater consciousness. We live in a sea, an ocean of consciousness, and our minds are little teeny pieces of that. And we can balance our checkbook with our mind, but clairvoyance is something else entirely. But good luck, Francois.
I hope it's gonna work, yeah.
Yeah,
but I understand your point. It's very tricky because I got some friends who have the same problem, try to force, you know, to get they listen so much that I felt that they block the perception.
True.
And the way you describe it is just like, yeah, you nailed it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I would like to know if like you have a subject that you would like to discuss that we haven't discussed yet.
Well, I think we pretty much hit on everything except I am involved. I'd like to mention, perhaps if anybody else is out there is involved in this, I would like to be contacted by them. I'm involved in a project that I've conceived a number of years ago that I'm still involved in. A moment ago, I mentioned chakras, and most people know that they have 7 chakras: a crown, brow, throat, heart. But what most people don't realize is that there are planetary chakras in various geographic locations. Mount Shasta, the pyramids in Egypt, various different places. It has been my desire to put together a group of individuals to try to activate the energies on the planetary basis, moving the energy from geographic location to geographic location, and in fact, create a Reiki healing on planet Earth. And I'm in the process of gathering people of like mind. The process would include light workers to go to each location, sound healers to intone various sounds in each location. And we're in the process of putting it together and getting funding for it. And it's something that I think would really help and benefit humanity as a whole. I'm not doing it because I have any messiah complex or anything like that. Okay? I'm doing it for my own because I feel that it would be a tremendous way to evolve my own skills and my own personality. But if the planet gets a healing in the process, I'm okay with that.
I see what you mean. And about that, I wonder how you activate. You talk about sound. Do you choose a special sound according to the chakra? What is your idea, just to have a bit more information about this project?
Absolutely. Each chakra and each individual, for example, vibrates to a tone. And that tone vibrates at a much higher frequency to a color. If you hit a note on a piano, that sound is, say it's a note of A, okay, you hear the sound. If you were to elevate that vibration, that sound would become red, or that sound would become yellow. So we're looking, and we find through the thousands of years of information that has been passed down to us, we find that each of the chakras have their own particular note, or notes, if you will. So by going to each location, for example, the root chakra on the planet is Mount Shasta in Northern California. If we were to go there and bring with us a choir of singers, or perhaps more than a choir, perhaps as many as we could, and all ohm a certain note, okay, they would be in tune with that chakra and they would activate the energy of that chakra. If we were to do that all over the planet simultaneously, then it would be the same as going to a Reiki master and having a healing in that regard. So each chakra has its own identity, has its own note, its own colors, its own fragrance, because it's all the same thing. Notes, our colors, our fragrance, our sounds, our vibration. Everything is vibration.
So where are the other points, just by curiosity? Because I thought that might have one in England.
There is one in England. Shaftesbury, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Glastonbury, maybe?
Glastonbury, Shaftesbury. That area right
chakra?
there. That's the heart chakra, yeah.
Yeah. The same source as you.
I can't wait to get there, actually. Yes, it's the chakras are Mount Shasta is the root, and then the island of the sun in Bolivia is the sacral chakra. In the place called Uluru in Australia is the solar plexus. Glastonbury is the heart. The pyramids of Egypt are the throat. There is some discussion on where the brow is. Right now, it's considered that it could be in Iran, but some people feel that it travels. We're not sure yet, but we know the crown chakra is Mount Kailash at the top of the Himalayas, where Krishna and Kali live, from the Hindu religion. So, and there are also secondary chakras in Japan and Hawaii and Palenque, Mexico, and I can go on, but I don't want to take all of our time on that. But there definitely is a pattern. There definitely are locations. And interestingly enough, there are also, with the advent of social media, there are wonderful ways to contact people in these areas and enroll them in this project, because it isn't that easy trying to coordinate a global project like that. But we're working on it, and we're doing well. I think we're still a couple of years away, but if anyone is interested, contact me. I would love to talk to you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure in Glastonbury. I was just there last weekend, actually.
Really?
So I've made like some. I tell you, it's funny. So
did you have a good feeling?
Oh, it's amazing there. It's the second time that I've been there 7 years ago. But we make like some, just spending time and making some sound a bit there. And there's interesting energy because there's really old sites. And yes, there's something there.
Did you feel the heart?
Well, I don't know. It's like there was, indeed, we have been in the old like church abbey, and there was something very feminine energy that was very present.
Yeah, unfortunately, many people don't realize that that area was developed by the nuns back in the area of Henry VIII, and Henry VIII got very jealous that they were so successful, and so he took them out of there. But their energy has remained, and I have yet to get there, but I'm told by the same thing that you have said, that it's a wonderful experience, and that you could actually feel that that feminine energy in there. And so I'm looking forward to going there. I'm hoping to go next spring, actually.
Oh wow! But let me know if you pass around, because I guess you're going to land in London, so it would be nice to see you.
I would love to see you too.
Good. Well, but thank you for your time. It was very nice to know a bit more about you. And if you have a final word for us.
I would say that we are moving toward a more advanced civilization in which the areas that we've discussed on this program are going to become more and more the norm. We're going to see more and more bursts and generations of people that are going to have experiences similar to myself. I think, for example, that I came early on in the wave of the evolution that is occurring. And I think more and more children are going to be having these experiences. I would speak to their parents right now, and I would say, if your children are having experiences, promote them, help them, put them in a position to feel comfortable that they are not crazy or weird. Trust me when I tell you that they will grow up and make you proud. That would be my final word.
That's nice. That's good for the future generation. Well, thank you very much, and see you all next week. Or
Absolutely.
next week or the week after. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.